Hi everybody, today's recipe is choc caramel Anzac slab. There's a layer of Anzac biscuit. There's a layer of caramel sauce, caramel sauce, and there's a layer of dark chocolate. Now, if you're wanting to swap out the caramel sauce with a healthy version, go and search up in the healthy desserts course and you'll find a caramel sauce in there. So it's a healthy caramel sauce. It's made with coconut and beautiful dates, and it's really delicious. Not as sweet as this one here. So that one hasn't got any refined sugars in it. This one definitely has. So if you're wanting to go the traditional route, this is the one for you. All right, as we always say, let's get cooking.
Okay, ingredients. You will need some cooking spray. You'll need some rolled oats. You'll need some plain flour. You'll need some brown sugar. You'll need some shredded coconut. If you haven't got shredded, you can use desiccated. You'll need some unsalted butter. That doesn't look very appetizing, does it? You'll need some golden syrup. You can use honey. Golden syrup gives a slightly different flavour. You'll need some bicarb soda, some boiling water, some dark chocolate melts. I've written here chocolate and caramel toppings to drizzle. I won't be doing that, but that's an option that you can do. For the caramel filling, you'll need some more butter, some more golden syrup, and a can of condensed milk. Brilliant. In terms of equipment, you're going to need a Lamington tin. I've got my very, very highly loved one there. A large bowl, 2 saucepans, a ladle or a spoon, a large spoon, and a large knife. Okay, fantastic. All right, let's get cooking. All right, so the first thing, of course, we do all of the prep things. First thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 160 degrees. So that's 160 degrees fan forced. (160 degrees), a little oat there, and then we're going to line our slice tin. So we're giving it a spray. Now I always hold up my tin and my spray, and the reason I do that, it just works better at a 45-degree angle. You don't need a lot of spray because it's really only just to hold the baking paper on there. Fantastic, I'll put that way. Then we're going to line our baking tray. I have got a pair of scissors. And then I'm going to push my baking paper into the corners so we can see the indents in each corner. So I'm getting a pair of scissors and I'm going to snip on the sides into the corner. Now, in most cases, if you just do one snip, it should sit nicely. However, if you want to put another slit, it's just going to, it could sit a whole lot nicely. So see how I've done it from one side of the piece of paper? I'm going to do that from the other side, and you'll find that you'll get a much smoother corner. So I know that I've said before that that we just do one side, but because you girls are a little bit more experienced, we're going to do things just at the next level. And you'll find that the paper just slots in really nicely out of the way. Fantastic. Great. And once you've done that, pop that at the side. So you won't need that. Excellent. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our bowl and we're going to measure 3/4 of a cup of oats into our bowl. 3/4 of a cup of oats. I'm using my daughter's laptop because mine died last week. And laptops are very personal, like you have it at the right lighting and you have it at the way you really like it. And so she's been very kind to me in letting me use her laptop, but it's just a little bit different. It's not personalized. It's a bit darker. So, all right, 3/4 of a cup of rolled oats and then 3/4 of a cup of plain flour. 3/4 of a cup of plain flour. And we want to spoon our flour in so we get the right measurement and we don't get our flour packed down, because what will happen then is you'll get too dry. So we just spoon it in, spoon and leveled. That's 1/2 cup. Three-quarters of a cup of plain flour, 1/2 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. So that's the opposite. We totally want to flatten or firmly pack. What was it, Daisy? So our brown sugar needs to be firmly packed. So you pop it in and then I'm going to press it down to make sure that I've definitely got the right measurement. Half a cup of brown sugar. And then 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. If I'd been nice and neat, I wouldn't have made that. I would have already measured it. Great. 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. And then we're going to mix it around. Just mix all of those ingredients together. So this is like a big Anzac biscuit that we're going to put on the bottom. Beautiful. Okay, make a well in the middle and then pop it at the side. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure our butter, which is 75 grams. 75 grams of butter. I'm going to use my scales. And this will get a really accurate measurement. Put it on the right unit, which is grams. There we go, fantastic. All right. Oh, that was good, 69. That'll do. 76 grams. Perfect. So I'm adding the butter straight into my saucepan. I'm not putting the butter away because I'm still going to need that later in the recipe. 75 grams of unsalted butter and 1 tablespoon of golden syrup. 1 tablespoon of golden syrup. And all we want to do here, the recipe says, let me just put it in correctly because it's so sticky, it goes everywhere. And I want to get as much of that beautiful golden syrup because it's about flavour and sweetness and stickiness because we want it to stick together. We're not using an egg in this mixture. So all I'm going to do is turn my saucepan on to a medium heat. Excuse me, I just don't want this to. Okay, then we're going to add half a teaspoon of bicarb soda, half a teaspoon. I'm going to got that. I'm going to bring my kettle over. All right, so I've got my boiling water here. I'm going to add the bicarb soda and 1 tablespoon of boiling water. Oops, you can see how that all stirs up. We're doing it at the side so we don't end up with too much. Right. Oh, look at that. Okay. Perfect. Bubbled up nicely. So we stir in the bicarb and the boiling water and then take it off the heat. All right, great. That's going to give it some air. And then I'm pouring it straight into my mixture, into my dry mixture. I'm using my spatula. I want to get as much of that moisture from all of those ingredients. Using the edge of my spatula to really scrape down. Perfect. My saucepan is hot, so I'm putting it back on the stove. All right, and then once I've done that, I'm stirring my mixture together. It will be, the recipe says it will be crumbly. So make sure, that's why we needed as much of that moisture. You don't want to leave half the moisture in the saucepan. And I'm going to put the mixture into the tin. So at this stage, it's quite a crumbly mixture, and that's exactly what it's meant to be. All right, and then we're using the back of the spatula to push it firmly into the corners and pushing down on it. And we want it to be flat, even, and firm. So I'm using the tip of the spatula and I'm pushing it right into the corners. Right. Fantastic. And then we're going to pop it into the oven and put the timer on for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Great. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our caramel sauce. So if you've been in our classes for the last few weeks, we've made different kinds of caramel sauce. We've made the healthy one with the dates and the coconut cream, and then we've made it with the brown sugar and cream. Oh, actually, I've still got that in my fridge from a few weeks ago when we made the date. I think we made a date pudding or something like that. So yummy. But this is a different one using condensed milk. So it's still the same concept. You've got the brown sugar, or today we're using golden syrup. Again, golden syrup is similar to brown sugar. Sometimes we can make caramel by browning the sugar, like using white sugar and browning it and then adding cream. So there's all sorts of different ways that we can make a caramel sauce with different textures. So today we are doing, all right, let's go down. All right, step 8. Meanwhile, to make the caramel filling, put butter and golden syrup in a medium saucepan over a high heat. All right, so we've got 50 grams of unsalted butter. So I'll go back to my scales. Butter is right there. It's already on grams. It's not a lot of butter. And we were saying, if you follow us on social media, you'll see that this week's Tips Tuesday was take notes up with a much better option. All right, so we've got 50 grams of unsalted butter and 1/4 of a cup of golden syrup. 1/4 of a cup of golden syrup. I will attempt to be a little bit more organised. Beautiful. Oh, it smells amazing. It smells of my childhood. Golden syrup. We used a lot of golden syrup for things when I was growing up, and we would always have Anzac biscuits. All right. So the recipe says, cook stirring occasionally until the butter has melted. Bring to the boil and cook for 1 minute. So we don't have to stir it the whole time. I'm just breaking apart my butter. Oh, it's yummo. And we did this similar thing when we made the burnt cream, or the burnt topping, the burnt sugar on top of the brulee, if you remember that. All right, so now I'm going to turn it down because I don't want it to burn. And then we're adding the condensed milk. Oh, so good. And that will reduce the temperature even further in the pan with the sugar. All right, so I'm getting as much out of my can using my spatula. I'm running the spatula all the way around the edges. Beautiful. And I'm hanging on to the saucepan. Oh, perfect. All right, so mine is well and truly there. I'm super happy with that. So you might want to check yours. It's great. It's not too brown. Sometimes I can let things go. That is perfect. Now, I can tell that it's super hot, so we need to be careful, but I want to be able to make sure that everyone can see what's going on. All right, and then I'm going to all right, so now I'm going to pour all my beautiful caramel sauce on top of my, oh, wow, on top of the oat mixture. Perfect. And then I'm going to spread it all the way to the corners. because when you bite into any part of your slice, you really want there to be no part of the slice that doesn't have some beautiful caramel. So I'm going all the way to the edges and I'm trying to make it nice and even, so it's not sort of the sands of the desert, but nice. It looks a lot flatter from where I'm standing than from the overhead camera. Okay, then we're going to pop it into the oven and bake it for another 10 minutes. Now, I suggest that we put the timer on for 7 minutes just to double check. The goal of this, it says, bake for 10 minutes or until the caramel is bubbling and light golden. All right, so we're going to pop it into the oven. Now I am going to melt my chocolate just so that it's in the video. So I'm going to put it on for 30 seconds and then I'm going to stir it. Beautiful. All right, girls. I will leave you to do that. So I've pulled mine out. You can see what my one looks like. Melted chocolate. You saw how I melted the chocolate before. Both of you girls know how to melt chocolate. And then you just want it cool. What you don't want is the steam to come up and seize your chocolate. So don't be tempted to do it too early. Allow it to cool down. Don't put it in the fridge. Just allow it 30 minutes for it to cool down and then layer your chocolate on top. Perfect. Would love to see photos of what you've made.
Oh, have you seen this movie? Hacksaw Ridge? No, it's a good movie.